is Remy Pangel from the Center for Wind Energy at James Madison University with the Virginia Wind for Schools program, talking to you today about the Pre-Host School Research Project, Deliverable 1, the School Electricity Assessment. The first deliverable is the electricity usage assessment. The full project, the Pre-Host School Research Project, is made up of 4 deliverables. The first, as I said, is the electricity usage assessment, which we're going to be talking about today, and we hope will be done in November. The conservation plan is the second deliverable, and we hope to see those deliverables completed by January. The third deliverable is the alternative energy plan, which we hope will be finished by April. And the fourth deliverable is the final report and presentation to be finished by June. Again, to remind you that this is our first time offering this research project structured this way, and the deadlines that we're noting here are proposed deadlines. We understand that at the first year of offering this that we might be off a little on our deadlines, and if it takes a little bit longer or doesn't take as long to finish a deliverable, we will note that and hopefully accommodate next year. So again, if you're working on your electricity usage assessment and November rolls around and you're not done, no worries. We'll continue working on it as we introduce the conservation plan, and you can be working on multiple deliverables at the same time. So today we're going to focus on task 1, the electricity usage assessment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some electricity basics to make sure we're all starting out on the same page. Then I will give you some proposed methodology for this particular deliverable, show you some proposed tools, show you the rubric that we will be using to assess this deliverable, and then again go over the timeline, the proposed timeline for finalizing this deliverable, and then give you some expert context to help you out as you complete this deliverable. So some electricity basics. Like I said, we need to start on the same page. The first thing we need to understand is what electricity is. And electricity is simply the flow of electrons around a circuit. The other thing we need to understand when we're talking about electricity is how we measure electricity, and measure electricity using voltage and current. So voltage is the pressure. It's comparable to a pressure. So if you think of the example of a water faucet or a hose, the voltage is the pressure, or if you hold your thumb over the faucet or the hose, you can feel the water pushing and ready to come out at any point. The current is the flow of that water, or the flow of the electrons. So if you were to let go of the faucet or let go of the hose, that water is going to start to flow, and that creates a current. So our voltage or pressure times the flow rate or the current is going to equal the power or the work done by those electrons. So there are lots of things in our daily lives that use electricity. First, we all use our cell phones, and they need to be charged pretty often, unfortunately. We have computers and laptops and tablets. We've got TVs and DVD players, refrigerators, and other appliances throughout our kitchen. We use a lot of lighting, and we use a lot of heating and cooling. And then in the middle depiction is of a car. And of course, they're becoming a lot more prevalent in our society now, but we can use electricity to charge our vehicles, our electric vehicles. So with all of those energy uses, it's important for us to better understand how we can talk about electricity and how much its power is required or work is required, and how much energy is consumed. So there's a big difference between power and energy. So power, again, is in watts. It's the amount of power that's needed to run an appliance or an object. So for instance, we think of light bulbs, and sometimes we understand a 100-watt light bulb or a 25-watt compact fluorescent light bulb. That's how much power is needed, voltage and current, in order to create that electricity to power that appliance. Now, when we talk about energy, we're talking about energy consumed. So there's a time component that we need to consider. So the units of energy are watt hours. So watt is your power and hours is your time unit. And so for the example of a 25-watt light bulb, if we use it for 3 hours, then you would consume 75 watt hours. For a 100-watt light bulb, it would be 300 watt hours. And we normally talk about these in kilowatt hours when you look at your electric bill. So that would be 0.3 kilowatt hours. So again, power equals work, but energy is the work done over a period of time and is usually kilowatt hours for units. Okay, so with those basics of electricity under our belt, the deliverable here, again, is to perform an electricity assessment for a space that you are thinking you might ultimately want to power with renewable energy. So at your school, this could be a single classroom. It could be a wing of the school, maybe the 6th grade wing. It could be the administrative suite, a concession stand, the parking lot, whatever it is that you think you want to take on and ultimately power with renewable energy. The second thing we would like to do is take that space and inventory all of the items in that space that use electricity. So we talked about things like chargers, phone chargers, laptop chargers, tablet chargers, camera chargers, whatever it is, as well as your lighting, any other appliances, maybe computers, or if you're in a concession stand, it could be your hot dog cooker or your pretzel warmer. But make an inventory of all the things that use electricity. Once you have that list, then you'll go through and research how much power is required for each of those items. So for a microwave, it might be 3,000 watts. So that's the information that you need to record. Once you have that information, you want to log or keep tabs on how often, when, and when these items are used. So if you think about it, if you're looking at a week or a month, you want to know, when do people turn on and off the lights, and how often are they on and how often are they off, so that you can get a better idea of how you use energy in that space. And you can do that by hand by creating a physical sign-in sheet that you can ask students to sign in and sign out when they've turned on a computer or turned off a computer or turned the lights off or what have you. But you can also use a tool called a kilowatt meter, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the proposed tools section. From all that information, you should be able to now determine how much electricity you use. So each of those items for a certain period. So if you calculate how often you use the lights over an entire week, then you would have the amount of electricity you consume in a week. And then you can make some assumptions of what that means over the course of a month or the course of a year. You can also use that information to then determine which item uses the most energy. So not only just looking at the cumulative amount of energy consumed, but look at which item consumes the most energy. And also look at all of your items and look at what time of the day you use the most electricity. So you're getting some more information about how you use your electricity. So again, the goal is to get a total kilowatt hours of the space in terms of use over a period of time, a day, a month, a year. Just be specific as to what that time period is. And then, of course, the last part of our methodology is to reflect on your procedure and make suggestions on how you could do it better next time. So as we move on to tools, we did talk about the kilowatt meter, and this is a picture of a kilowatt meter. You basically plug an appliance into it, and then it'll actually tell you how many kilowatt hours you use over a period of time. It'll also tell you things like how much that cost is. So it's a very helpful tool, but again, you could use a notebook and a pencil and create your own log and ask the students to fill it out. So basic tools for this particular deliverable. I also wanted to make sure you had some internet resources to use. This link here will help you to find power consumption of typical household appliances. It's very helpful if you're going through and inventorying your classroom and need to know what kind of wattage certain things use. There are tags on a lot of things, but sometimes they don't have a tag on them. And then some helpful activities. So the Need Wind for Schools curriculum, which is a free downloadable PDF online, has a couple of activities that I think would be most helpful. The first activity is called Electric Nameplates. Again, this is helping students to identify the tags on items that tell them how much energy or power are used by these. What can the wind power is an opportunity for them to kind of do a small scale exercise of how many things can be powered if you only have so many watts of wind power. And then the cost of using machines just kind of links everything back to, if this is how much energy we're consuming, what is the cost? And I know that these kids most likely are not paying their electric bill, but it's important for them to understand that there is a cost. Okay, so with that, if we are going to be looking over these reports, we would give this particular section 28 possible points, 4 points for each of the 7 deliverables that we've identified, selecting your appropriate space, inventorying the items, researching how much power they use, creating your electricity log, summary of their survey findings using graphs to show usage by time of day and by item, a conclusion where they discuss what items use the most, when they use the most, and the total energy consumed, and then of course their recommendations on how they could repeat this with a better procedure. So lastly, we'll talk about the timeline. Again, this is an exercise that we think would probably take about a month, 4 to 5 weeks. So assuming we start the first week in October, we would hope that by the first week in November we've made a good bit of progress. And we'll check in then, and please be sure to contact me or Becky for any help that you might need in this particular deliverable. We also encourage you to contact a local energy auditing company near you, because they might be very excited to work with the school group and give you a lot of expert guidance. So like I said, please contact us if you have any information or questions, and good luck with your research.